Alright. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Smurf Detective, where we figure out who's been throwing away matches on the ladder, lowering their ranks so they can beat up on people weaker than them. This one's been submitted by Sharp Cheddar. It says, I'm a Diamond 3 Zerg, Sharp Cheddar. Good evening, Detective Pig. I formally request an investigation into a filthy Terran smurfer. He'd clearly been leaving his league and keeping his MMR lower than it should be. Please refer to the below salty rant. I know a thing or two about what it feels like to fight a High Master, GM Terran, and ZVT, and the Reaper control alone from this guy tingled my Smurf sense. Okay, I'm a bit drunk. It was on Beckett, and I went 16 hatch, but just look at this turd muncher. I often punch above my weight class in Diamond and below weeklies, and I've never seen a Diamond 3, Diamond 2, or even low Diamond 1 Terran control shit macroing like that. As I think he's saying like because the Terran's actually spending his money while microing hard, which is actually good because normally people are like, no, the Reaper got microed too much. Terran's floating 600 minerals doesn't really tell you the Terran's a good player. I've seen Silver League Terrans micro that Reaper pretty damn well. And then you realize they're not spending their money and it's actually really bad. Well, bad news for Sharp Cheddar. Noob is already 1 SCV behind. That command center was sitting idle. So is actually, you meant to get to 19 SCVs at the same time the barracks finishes. Instead, the 19th SCVs just started. I don't think, I'm already thinking things aren't looking too good, Sharp Cheddar. I do know Sharp Cheddar from my stream. Often comes in and is always drunk. So I'm loving it. Hops on the ladder, has a good time. And this is also the shortest rush distance in the pool. Going hatch first, which Sharp Cheddar pointed out, super dangerous here. Anyway, let's read the rest of it. It felt similar to fighting my GM Terran buddy in a lot of ways, except this guy definitely enjoys smelling his own farts and was just playing versus me to inflate his fragile ego. I bet he looks in the mirror every morning and cries because all the good things that happened to him yesterday were actually just a dream, and he's still a basement-dwelling neckbeard no one will ever love. Wow, hateful. Please enjoy watching me get my ass handed, getting my ass handed to me by, wait for it, XXX noob XXX. All right. Well, thank you for your submission, Sharp Cheddar. And oh no, we're already gonna lose a drone. And now he's gonna chase after the other drone. Yeah, I mean, he could just kill that. He could have killed it before it got to the gases. It's pretty try-hard, but nothing too amazing. He started his command center, forgot to build his reactor on time, so that's about 20 seconds late. Oh, okay, nice Reaper grenade. Yeah, a little bit of kiting. Just gonna do a bit of in and out. I mean, this is definitely a lot of APM and a lot of clicking. I mean, this is a really try-hard player, for sure. But you are, I mean, why are you chasing it off creep? Anybody can do this. He's floating 600 minerals. Wait, Sharp Cheddar, you said I've never seen anyone in Diamond do this sort of micro while macroing like that. That's what you said. What macro? He's floating 500 to 700 minerals the whole time. All you need to do is move the queen to the front of your base, mate. What are you talking about? This wasn't a smooth opening. Okay, let's go back again. So not to mention the first SCV that got missed, but what about, does the orbital make at least right after that SCV, or is there even more downtime? So he cancels the SCV, makes the orbital, realizing that's kind of more important. Okay. Drops a meal, queues an SCV. All right. The Reaper, the depot's there. Okay. I mean, this looks pretty tight so far. Pretty standard opening. Builds a second barracks with a different SCV, rather than just using the one that was standing right there. Then takes the second gas. Forgets to build the reactor because the Reaper gets there and just tunnel visions on that. And isn't building SCVs either. I'm sorry. This is not the most god tier clam micro. And he's not macroing behind it. It's good micro. This player is clearly spamming. Actually, check this out. This sort of player, I have a feeling, if we go back to the start, let's go to their camera. I just want to watch what they do in the early game. Because I'm pretty sure this is just a try-hard kid. I think this is just a 14-year-old who's watched pro play and likes the idea of playing fast and spam. What's he doing? Okay, so he's got his SCV on control group 1, command center control group 4, and is going double tap 1, double tap 4, double tap 1. Go, build the barracks, double tap 4, double tap 1, double tap 4. The player is clearly not using camera locations, but is instead just kind of hopping around doing that. This is not indicative of an amazing player. They're also putting that barracks on number 2, which is really bizarre because you normally want at least 2, if not 3 control groups free for your army down the bottom. To me, it looks like this player doesn't use control groups other than number 1. So that's kind of a sign of someone who's... It's impressive they're in Diamond League. To be fair though, 350 APM, oh my god. There's very high APM, there's pretty good micro, but there's very poor attention management, right? That Reaper could have just been clicked on that drone, probably would have got the kill, and then could have spent the money at home really well. Good Reaper micro, don't get me wrong. Kiting, using grenades, but I mean, it's slow Zerglings, and it's not like he's diving around the minerals on creep doing circles. And it's just like, hey, we just left a big opening by not moving a queen there. Oh my god. Oh my god. My spidey senses are not tingling. My spidey senses are not tingling. I'm not sure that Noob likes to smell his own farts or looks in the mirror. I'm pretty sure Noob here, I mean, yeah, I mean, so it's Diamond 3, right? So, I mean, to be a Smurf, you've got to be at least two tiers higher. And it is actually possible to verse people on the ladder who are 2 tiers higher, but we'll still call that a Smurf. So if this player, or let's say even more than that, if this player's got to be Masters 3, right? Does this player look like a Masters 3 player? Because that's the only point. He's saying, oh, this feels like a GM. You know, this is unrealistic. But if you're Diamond 3, Diamond 2, is it unrealistic to play a Diamond 1? No, it'll happen, not that often. But if you're playing up in the middle of the night when not that many people are on, it'll happen. You'll only lose a couple MMR, it is what it is. We didn't actually get any sort of sign of like what the actual MMR of this player was. So let's take a look at the rest of the build. And let's kind of look at how Noob, let's watch this real time, just regular game speed. Let's see the way Noob divvies things up. Reaper's on 1, waiting to scout, queuing up SCVs, dropping mules, doing pretty good. Has a depot builder at the natural, which is a really good tool when you're new and you want to get better and you want to make sure you don't get supply block. But you can see the supply gap is like a bit bigger than you'd expect from a GM or even a lot of Masters players wouldn't build such a big supply gap so early, where it's just a little, it could be a little more efficient. Now this is interesting because that's a really quick third command center, which I saw like Maru, I think, do this the other day. He did this in a Terran versus Zerg, didn't he? We saw Maru do a 2-on-1. Was it Maru? I remember it was a Terran. It was a really high level Terran. But so here's the kicker, right? With a 2-on-1 build, you're meant to get across the map and be attacking no later than 5 minutes 20. In this case, the medevacs haven't even loaded up until 5 minutes 20. And you could see how awkward that was, the way they loaded up. I mean, this is going to hit so late, despite it being the shortest rush distance in the map pool. This is not especially good play. Not to mention that command center. Look at that command center. If Lings came in with a run by, look at how much surface area. That thing would go down so quickly. If you're going to put the command center in the wall, you're meant to build it like here or here or something like that, where it's in the wall, not 2/3 of the command center is exposed. So this, I mean, this is looking like pretty average avocado play. There's also been no run-bys, no pressure. There's nothing that Noobs really had to react to this game. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, like I always say, the real test is when you see a player have to start reacting to a bit of adversity in the game, a bit of pressure, unforeseen circumstances. In this case, they've stimmed and they've attack moved. They do a little bit of focus firing here on the roaches. It's easy to look like you've got cool micro when you've just got more units to begin with and there's no pressure because you're not panicking because you're like, oh, I just have more stuff. I mean, this is just the game is handed on a platter to Noob. I mean, why are so many of these submissions? People just like, this guy was smurfing. And it's like, you put yourself way behind from the start and then you just had less stuff in every battle. Like, like, well, yeah, he has more stuff because he's smurfing. And I'm like, does he? Like, I don't know, man. He hit a minute late with his 2-on-1 and you still had no units for it. Oh my god. And he floated over 1,000 minerals behind it, right? Did he? Yeah, he got up to 1,200. 1,250 minerals. Oh my lord. And his, you can see is not queuing the SCVs back to mining and he's kind of adding barracks one at a time, which is like a bit of a lower level thing where you'll see like really, really high level fast players do this because they just have the APM to spare, and also lower level players because they don't know to batch it up. Whereas you'll see me, someone who admits I've got old man hands, I'll be like, oh, I'll look home, build 3 barracks all at once, queue the SCVs back to mining, come back a bit later, drop a few reactors, right? Because I know that I might slip up otherwise. So it's kind of funny because Noob is like tunnel visioning on the micro, but then he's like, goes home, builds 1 barracks, goes back micros, goes home, builds 1 barracks. It's like, is trying to do things like he's Maru level, but Noob is not Maru level. Now this is good. I mean, it's a Liberator that got queued up. That's a 0 APM harassment. And the Marines are actually the one thing they're being focused on. They're stimming in the front. I mean, this is insanely fast play, for sure. So, you know, these moves, I get at this point how you could feel like you're playing against a GM player, but we just haven't actually seen Noob have to deal with any adversity, right? Nothing is being blocked, and if a player gets ahead from the start in Terran versus Zerg, it's easy for them to start outstripping their opponent, right? And just looking like they're better than them. But I mean, if we just benchmark this generally, it's like, well, there's like a tank and a handful of Marines. He's going to go up to 7 barracks now, which is kind of random. Once again, adding barracks one at a time. This is like very haphazard play. And this just fits in the idea of a diamond player who spams their keys a lot, but is probably too excited and too pumped with adrenaline to really be playing that efficiently. Is also building a 4th command center when there's only 1 factory, which is like insane. And hasn't even been building SCVs. It's 8 minutes and there's only 44 workers, which is just really inefficient worker production. With a quick 3rd command center build, I know this isn't that, but just the benchmark that comes to mind for Terran SCVs, with a quick 3rd command center build, I should hit 60, 62, 63 SCVs by 7 minutes. So only being at 44 here is kind of weak. Now he does do some interesting micro. Okay, this is actually really cool because this is like an advanced idea, but it is so unnecessary in this circumstance, right? So in this fight, it's kind of hard for you guys to see because we've got command centers floating, but there's a few tanks, there's a lot of Marines, and it's just Ling Ravager attack. This is a really weak attack where this is the 3rd engagement in this game where the Zerg just has less stuff. Not to mention the Terran has +1, stim shields, medevacs, the Marines, the tanks are siege, and the Lings and Ravagers, it's just not that great an army, right? But all the Terran needs to do is a move, and instead he stutter steps forward because he's worried about getting corrosive biled and wants to kind of get on top of the Ravagers, I think. But this is like super unnecessary micro, right? Where it's like, sorry, and you can see isn't really shooting as often as a good player would be. I want you guys to watch this one more time. This is like clear evidence of a player who's trying to play too fast for their actual abilities, right? So check out these Marines. So they should be like moving, shooting, moving, shooting, moving, shooting. Go watch like a really top tier play stutter step, and you realize they're basically shooting almost exactly as much as if they were just told to attack move, but they're able to move at the same time. Now, watch these Marines in comparison. You notice a few times they start shooting, but they don't quite get to finish the shot. So he's kind of not giving them the time to actually finish the shot. Other times he would kind of derp them out. So the Marines aren't actually stutter stepping properly. So Noob here is your classic player who can probably do a lot of things pretty quickly, but because is doing them so inefficiently, they're not actually that effective at harnessing their fast hands. All these actions, 90% of them were super inefficient, right? Think of the early game. Double tap SCV, double tap command center, double tap SCV, double tap command center. That's what most of this game was for Noob. It was like spamming hotkeys. I'm going to get 4 command centers, but I didn't do the more important thing, which is just build SCVs for your 3rd command center. I'm going to keep jumping home and frantically throwing down barracks. Whereas I, with 1/5 of the APM, could have done 10 times more things than Noob, right? I would have gone home at like 6 minutes and just dropped down 3 barracks. Cue the SCVs back. Instead, Noob is having to go home, build a barracks, come back later, tell the SCV to go back to mining. Come back, build a barracks. Come back later, tell the SCV to go back to mining. Never queuing SCVs from barracks back. Barracks always building 1 at a time. So look at how many times Noob has to look home. Builds a barracks. Okay, this time it was 2 barracks, which is a little bit better. But the SCVs haven't been queued back to mining, so they just sit there. Builds 1 tech lab, doesn't build anything on the other one, then builds a barracks, then builds a reactor, then builds another barracks, right? This is so messy. Oh my god. And he's then starting like +1 armor, doesn't have the gas for the extra upgrades. This is super inefficient play from Noob. Noob has some potential. The idea, a Liberator goes in the main, Marine Stim in the front. All these ideas are good. The Reaper micro was pretty good. But this was all in the context of Sharp Cheddar did nothing right. At the start, didn't move a queen to the front to defend, so was taking more damage than necessary, and then just didn't have the units ready to face the 2-on-1. So I'm going to say this is a Smurf-free zone. This does look a little bit more like a Diamond 2 or a Diamond 1 player to me in Noob, but it does not look like a Masters League player. And I'm pretty sure if we saw a little bit of pressure or any of these fights be a little bit more difficult, I think we'd start to see Noob crumble and fall apart. This was a zero pressure scenario where everything went right. And so I think Noob looks a little stronger than Diamond 3 there. But if we actually saw any adversity, I have a very strong feeling that the tower would just crumble down. All right, let's go take a look at one of these other replays. All right, guys, into the next one. This one is from Sir George. Or George? George. I don't know how to say that. Hello, Pig. While laddering, I came across a legitimate hacker. He always had his units in position whenever I tried to run by with some Hellions, and he repeatedly looked at my base and units inside the Fog of War. Built a Hydra Den, 3 spores in each base right before my battlecruiser arrived in his base. I'm 4.6 Masters 2, Terran on EU. He was also playing random, has 5 camo with Terran. Okay, cool. I mean, this should be pretty quick. If your opponent's just a try-hard tool who hacks, there's a few people out there who pay for programs that can show you like the production tab, the minimap. There's even like scripts that can inject for you and stuff. Every now and then they get broken by like a Blizzard patch or something like that. They're pretty lame. There's people who cheat in just about every game. Yeah, they're really sad for the most part. I don't really have too much to say on the psychology of it, other than it's incredibly sad. They've paused there to fix the hacking out maybe. I don't know. Let's see. So first of all, I guess we can just go to their camera. And also check their control groups. Hatchery's on 1. Hatchery's also on 7, 8, 9, 0. So they've got what we call, I would call that's like a legacy setup. Rather than using camera locations, they double tap 7 to go to their natural, 8 to go to their natural, 9 to go to their Oh no, that's all their production keys as well. Okay, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. They just put it on all these keys for fun, I guess. Okay. So they haven't really looked through the fog yet. Pretty standard opening. They haven't pulled off gas or made ling speed. And they pull the drones to surround the Reaper. They pull it off. So they do punish the Reaper coming in. This is not great play from the Zerg, and now they're making a lair, a third base and a lair. Those are 2 different directions the player's going. Doesn't make sense to be doing both in this scenario, and the actual droning is really inconsistent. And then glances, okay, that was super dodgy, right? So what was super dodgy there? I'll show you guys. So Cherokee here, the thing is, what's dodgy is there was no Overlord Scout selected or anything like that. Sorry, I tried to rewind there. Let's just bring up the time bar of this game. Yeah, so they're gonna go look through the fog in a moment, but they're gonna look at the area they can't see, which is super dodge. Yeah, so they had their hatcheries selected, so while they were producing, they were like, hey, I'm gonna look at your tech now. Oh yeah, it looks like a Hellion opening, no worries, went back to it. That's very suspect. The build order is also trash from Cherokee. I mean, this is just, what's the lair for? Why aren't, you know, the droning's kind of inconsistent. There's no third queen. So if you know you're up against someone who cheats, by the way, a mixture of just threaten with like the map control and pretend you're attacking, and then just pull back is usually a good way to do it. But this is just a Nidus all in. Oh, okay. But then the Viking catches it. Oh, okay. All right, I mean, and then there's another Overseer as well. Oh, the Viking shutdown. This is unfortunate. So this is a free win right here. And you pussy out, sadly. So this is very common, right? Is people coming in and then just poking. Be like, oh, okay, cool, 2 drones. Immediately, and this is why the more active you are early as well, the more you can tell if shit's up. But wait, you rebuilt a Reaper, which is super weird. I normally wouldn't advise rebuilding a Reaper. That's pretty gas expensive. Anyways, if you dove in here, you could just kill every drone. So your opponent, they might be a hacker, but they're really bad at looking at the minimap and actually realizing what's happening if that's the case. So yeah, basically the Reaper, the Hellions could have just ran in. There's literally no fighting units. Even with the Nidus Worm, this player hasn't, they forgot their Roach Horn? No, they've got a Roach Horn, but they're only building Roaches. This player is terrible. They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, I'm being really mean because I think they're a hacker, right? I assume from the message from a Masters player, it like certainly is, but let's take a look. So the player's kind of like building Roaches now, is just chilling. You're starting a very late battlecruiser. 5 minutes 30 is around the time a battlecruiser should be arriving. Oh my god, it looks through the fog again. Is looking around. Yeah. Okay. And then drop spores after seeing that there's a battlecruiser on the way. Yeah. I mean, they're a hacker. They're terrible which I guess is pretty common for hackers. That's about it. Okay, yeah. They're looking through the fog. They haven't made any attempt to scout, and they have no idea how to play the game. Yeah. I mean, this is the sort of the player where you just basically play real middle of the road. So how do you beat a hacker, guys? Check out my YouTube, search up hacker, search up how to beat a hacker. There's a few games of me beating them, and some are insane comebacks because I don't realize at the start they're a hacker. So obviously I maybe commit to something. I hide the information well. It's a pretty good risk to take. Oh, they already knew about it. They hard count, they get way ahead. But how do we actually take care of them? Basically, you threaten. If they've got no units like in this game, you can definitely just dive in there with things like Hellions and try to do some damage. But otherwise, you basically just, you macro up and you don't overcommit to anything. And you just kind of keep building to the next step of the game. The way hackers win is they try to see what you're doing and they try to hard counter that one thing. So if you play in an uncounterable style, you can actually beat it. So I actually really like it because it's practice in a way. It kind of sucks, I think, a little bit more for me playing Terran if I'm very timing attack focused in a certain matchup. Because I'm like, oh man, oh god, you know, like it's kind of tough. But if you just kind of play a little bit more chill, like this player is just not droning their third, and you know they're playing kind of slow style. So if you were just a little bit faster to get your third out there, and then you just kind of build up a solid army, you can absolutely win this sort of game. But if you don't know they see everything, it's definitely, it's a little bit harder, right? Because it's kind of hard to shift your mindset in that direction. And the opponent's now massing mutas, and they've seen, of course, that you don't have any anti-air. Yeah, so they're just going all in on like a giant wave of mutas. What a douchebag. Yeah, and that's how hackers win, is because they're really bad at the fundamentals of the game. There's a lot of them just staring around and trying to look for the like one move that will win them the game. That's it. Just remember, these are the people who, I mean, I think the words from Blood Feast, Mr. Sharp Cheddar's submission earlier, I think that might be the most prescient thing here, guys. I'm pretty sure Cherokee likes the smell of his own farts and looks in the mirror and cries, realizing the good events that happened to him in the past day were in fact a dream, and he is still a basement dwelling cheating neckbeard. Neckbeard is still just the greatest term. Even after all these years, I still feel like it's got a freshness to it. I'm like, you're calling someone a neckbeard? It's fantastic. All right, cool. I can't watch any more of this. It's hurting my soul. I don't know what this person gets out of winning these games. Hackers are even more confusing to me than Smurfs. I just imagine bad shit's happened to their life, and I don't know. It's weird. It's super fucking weird. At least they're cheating in video games. Hopefully they're not also, you know, I don't know, embezzling money and stuff at the same time, but they very well might be. Who knows? GG, let's look at another one. All right, so we're just going to look at one more today. This one's from Miyuki. Says, my in-game account is Miyuki. Now, I know I'm not very good. This was my first tournament on the ladder. I was in Gold 1 going to a Gold tournament. I made it to the finals, and this tournament actually brought me up and gave me a promotion to Plat 3. I was wondering if this guy was a Smurf. Well, you're playing against Chunky Donkey here, and Chunky Donkey is going for a 2-gate opening. Plat 3 is pretty low though, right? So the thing is, there was, I believe, a Plat logo on the load screen. This player could have been like Plat 2 or something like that. Since that hasn't been clarified, I mean, this player would need to be at least Plat 1, probably Diamond 3. Does this look like Diamond 3? To put this in a clear Smurf category, 2-gate on the high ground. Usually you figured out proper openings by the time you're in Diamond League. Even mid-Platinum League, probably. This is a beginner opening from Zuka's guide. So shout out to Zuka for putting out great guides. I think 2-gate Stalker is not a bad opening for beginners, but it's really, really basic, and it doesn't really work well versus Terran, because past a certain level, Terran players will go, well, you didn't expand, you went 2 gates. They'll just put down a bunker, put a few Marines in it, and be fine. Unfortunately, Miyuki has forgotten the reactor, hasn't been keeping up barracks production, is building a bunker. It's in a bit of a weird position because it's not in the middle, so the Stalkers can easily run around. You want to always put it in kind of the middling area. And the Reaper's just hanging out over there. Stalker's coming across the map. So 2 Marines loses to a Stalker. This is a very late bunker, by the way. This should have been finished like 20 seconds ago. So this is just kind of a sloppy opening versus what appears to be a 3 Stalker pressure. As long as the Marines get in the bunker. Ooh, 1 Marine gets in. But now there's no other Marines building. No add-on the second barracks. There's a tank. Okay, going to just evacuate here, but okay. This is not a Smurf. The opponent did the most basic pressure. You saw 2 gateways, no expansion. You made no extra defensive measures. This is just a really loose opening, Miyuki. What can I say? Your opponent followed the most basic noob guide out there for Protoss players, which they use to get themselves into the game. This is the matchup. It's kind of maybe not the weakest in. I'd say PvZ it's the weakest in, but it's best in PvP. This opening that Chunky Donkey's doing. It's not the worst in PvT, but it's not great because your expansion is so late. But you just didn't get your marine production going in time. Fix your opening, have a few more marines out, build your bunker on time. Don't worry about scouting so much. And if you do struggle with this stuff, I always say to people, like, if you don't understand what scouting means or anything, and you're not focusing on getting better at that, why are you SCV scouting? Why are you Reaper scouting? There's no point. So if you want to do scouting, make sure you keep it simple for yourself. I say to people, okay, maybe in Gold League, a good idea is keep it real basic. Just send an SCV. If they don't have an expansion, hide it behind. If they don't have that up by 3:30, add extra safety measures. But this opening pressure from your opponent is so straightforward and standard. Any normal Terran opening with good marine production and a bunker, you're going to hold it just fine. Might have to pull to repair the bunker a little bit. But as it is, looks like you're pretty much dead from here, Miyuki. We'll fast forward. And yeah, I mean, you're just way behind because even though your opponent got a very slow Nexus, they've now taken it. You can see they're doing noob things like taking the gases way earlier than they need while floating 1,000 gas. I mean, this is not really diamond play from Chunky Donkey. Is massing unupgraded stalkers right now. There's no real tech that's going to actually progress the Protoss army. Protoss army is like really, stalkers are great in the very beginning stage. And then you want to get to big like splash damage stuff, charge, Colossus, Archon, Storm Disruptors. Notice how this Chunky Donkey is still building an early game unit composition. Unupgraded Stalkers, no blink, no charge, really slow to get the Colossus tech ready. This here is super platinum. This is a super platinum game. Maybe it's a Plat 2 game from Chunky Donkey. Doubt it would even be Plat 1. This is not a Smurf. And since you've given me so little to go off, Miyuki, I'm kind of sad because I'd like to make more fun of you. But this was just, oh, can you tell me if this is a Smurf? Come on. Have a little bit of attitude. If you sent this in, I bet you had some angry thoughts. Share them. Put yourself out there, guys, girls, ladies, gents, zealots, Zergans, Marines. If you guys want to send in your replay for Smurf Detective, make sure you put in some strong feelings. It makes it more fun. Thank you, Sharp Cheddar, our first submitter for today, for doing that. I think that'll wrap us up, guys. I mean, let's fast forward and just kind of revel and or revel. It's revel, isn't it? Anyways. Let's go fucking revel, bro. The fact that, yeah, I mean, it's 10 minutes in and we just don't have a proper army. Protoss army really sucks, actually. If we just had like a decent amount of bio and stim and shields, it would be good. But the barracks production just picked up too late and we weren't dropping mules or anything. So, and we're sieging with the army on top of us. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I'll stop. This was not a Smurf, but you were way behind. Stop. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Send your replays in for Smurf Detective. Bye, guys.